How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fast Fastidious. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how to essentially get a free bonus legendary by manipulating the guarantee on the Lust exclusive banner. As you guys can see from your screen, Lust has arrived. We have been holding our load. Oh my god, that came out wrong. We've been holding our summons, if you know, our load of summons. We've been holding for weeks now, anticipating this. I know many of us have taken many a weekend off, and now the banner arrives tomorrow. However, a big question actually exists now that we know that the Silas and Vierna banner arrives on Friday, and that there will be no concurrent banner running alongside Lust, not even a typical Invocation of Spirits like we normally see over here, right? So what is that question? The question is, should you actually summon for Lust on Wednesday, or should you hold 2 days longer? I know. Hold 2 days longer until Friday. So what this all comes down to is manipulating the 250 guaranteed hero on the Invocation of Oath. So what this is, and I'm going to have an FAQ video come out after this where I explain just the technicalities and exactly how this banner works. But you can think of it this way. You are guaranteed to get Lust by summon number 250. You are guaranteed to get her by your 250th summon. That does not mean you're guaranteed to get her at your 250th summon, because if you've already summoned her before then there's no more guarantee. You were guaranteed to get her by that moment. You got her, the guarantee's over, right? However, if you make it all the way to 250, number 250 is guaranteed to be her, and that's what this technique is all about. Manipulating that guarantee at 250 to work between the two banners, build up your pity while also concurrently building up your guaranteed tally, right? Because those are separate things. I'll explain all of that in this video. Doing all of that to make 250 essentially a free guaranteed legendary, a free guaranteed Lust that you didn't have to invest any more than a couple summons or even just one summon into. There's a lot of things that go into this technique, some that we can control, some that we cannot. It's really going to come down to how many summons you have saved, how lucky or unlucky you get, and luck and lack thereof when it comes to this actually is kind of inverted. I'll explain that in the video. And then kind of your appetite for risk, how much you're willing to gamble and how far you're willing to push it and get closer and closer to the 250 on the tally before you switch banners and then switch back. There's a lot to get into. I'm going to try to really explain it like you're 5, explain it like I'm 5, for dummies it, make it as clear as possible. If I miss anything at all, please ask me questions in the comments. I want to make sure everyone that can employ this technique does, because it's an incredible thing to basically be in complete control, or as long you can control what you can control. But with that, if things go the right way, you'll be in complete control of when you get Lust and basically get her for free. So stick with me. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alright guys, so to understand this, the first thing you need to understand that every type of summons in this game shares a pity. So it doesn't matter what the banner is, all those summon types share a pity. So what are the summon types? Well, I'm talking about specifically the currency we use for summons, right? So all ancient summoning crystals share one pity, doesn't matter the banner. All rare summoning crystals share one pity, doesn't matter the banner. All legendary summoning crystals share a pity, right? So because of that, if we look at events now, the Invocation of Oath will only use those blue crystals, those rare summoning crystals. And then the special divine here, this is for gold, but the special invocation, the 10x on Silas and Vierna, those also only use blue crystals. So these two will share the same pity. The important distinction is the Invocation of Oath, as you're tallying up your summons, you'll have a little counter at the bottom. As that thing counts higher and higher towards 250, that number, that enumeration, that accounting of how many summons you've done towards that 250 or less, that is not shared. That is only on this banner. So that will only be counting when you're on this banner. However, while you're on this banner summoning, getting that 250 number up, you also will be increasing your pity number. I'll explain that in 1 second, but the summons towards a soft pity and then a hard pity guaranteeing a legendary, which is shared with this, as I just explained, right? The pity is shared, the guaranteed tally is not shared. So just in case someone does not know this, because I know on every video there's someone that's not gonna know it. If we go here to the details, right, and we go to pity timer rules, essentially the way it works is we have a soft pity on our blue summons. If you have not summoned any legendary hero after 200 consecutive summons, a pity kicks in. So after 200, every subsequent pull has a 5% greater chance to be a legendary hero. So if it's a normal, not 2x, right? It's just like an invocation. It's a 10x kind of banner. You have your 0.5%, and then at number 201, it's 5.5. At 202, it's 10.5. At 203, 15.5, all the way up to 219, which will be 95.5. And then your hard pity, your full guarantee at 220, you will have a 100.5% chance. Obviously, it rounds down. You can't have greater than 100% chance for something to happen. Guaranteed at 220. So the soft pity kicks in at 200. Hard ass pity kicks in at 220. So that pity will be counting up when you do any blue summon. So if I did a 10 pull right now, I will not, obviously. That would be increasing my rate. You know, you can track where you are so far. It really doesn't matter till you're deeper into these banners, as I'll explain. But you can see summoning record. I pulled Calypso. This is 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 ago. So I'm 27 into my new pity. So it's a very reasonably fresh pity, right? I'm 27 towards getting that soft pity at 200, the hard pity at 220. So if you have, and this is a huge point, so you can click off the video at this point, if you have 250 summons or less and you want to go for the Lust banner, there is absolutely no reason to wait till Friday, because no banner pity shared between the banner can be manipulated to help you, since you will need potentially that whole 250 to hit on Lust. And this whole technique is about using the guarantee to get Lust at 250. So that's where I was saying there is an element of luck here. It manifests in a few ways, but the key thing to know is being lucky and getting Lust early actually is unlucky if you want to employ this technique, because it nullifies it, because no longer do you have a 250 guarantee to manipulate, because as I said, you're guaranteed to get her by 250. If you get her earlier, then that guarantee's over because you already got her, right? So what you want to happen is you want to be pulling legendaries. You don't want them to be Lust until number 250. So you're in complete control. The other element of luck is when you're going to hit your legendaries, right? So you can see, let's use myself in this example. I just showed you 28 pulls ago, I got Calypso, so now I'm 27 pulls into Pity. That means I'm 173 pulls away from Soft Pity and 193 pulls away from a Hard Pity, a fully guaranteed legendary. So if we do 193, if I do 193 pulls on the Lust banner, I will then be, and I don't hit Lust on that guarantee if I go the full, or it's going to be between 173 and 193, somewhere in that range. So let's just call it 180. Let's say I have to go to Pity. I could hit earlier. That's other luck, right? I could hit at 40 pulls. I could hit at 1 pull, right? But let's say I go to Pity. I hit at 180. I'm now 70 away from the guarantee. And that is where I have to start being like, do I keep going? Because of that semblance of luck or lack thereof, assuming that that pull, that guarantee was not Lust, or do I hold out for Friday and make a switch? Or if I'm very open to risk, I'm not a very risk-averse person, do I continue pulling all the way to 249, stop there, and then go wait till Friday, pull on this one till I hit a legendary, then come back to the Invocation of Oath and get my free, just 1 pull guaranteed Lust? So this is where the last big thing you need to understand comes into play, and that is how many summons you have saved. So how you're going to be able to do this and how aggressively you can employ this technique comes down to how many diamonds you're sitting on and how many summons you're sitting on. So given the absolute worst case scenario that could happen, I mean, it would be pretty freakish, but it could happen. This could take you 470 summons to pull off. So that's a huge number. Why is that? Let me explain. So let's say you're off a perfectly fresh pity. The last pull you had using a rare summoning crystal was a legendary. So you're at 0 currently. You have not been counting up at all. Like where I'm at 27, you're at 0. Let's say you have to go on the Invocation of Oath banner, a full 220. You have to go all the way to hard pity. You make it past the soft pity at 200. Now your rate keeps ticking up 5%, 5%. You have to go all the way to 220. Finally, you get a legendary, and it's not Lust. Because if it's Lust, that just, the whole thing's kaput, right? There's no more guarantee in play. So you don't get Lust, but you pull all the way to 220. Now, if you're risk averse, what you're going to do, this is the worst case scenario, you're going to already switch. What you could do is pull 29 more summons to get that 220 tally up to 249, then switch. So you will be switching to the Silas Vierna banner with already 29 summons towards your pity. However, you're risking that in those 29 summons, you either pull another legendary, reset the pity, or you pull Lust, you lose the guarantee. So if you're risk averse, right there, you're going to switch to Silas and Vierna, and it happens again. You're off a fresh pity. You got a legendary from the Invocation of Oath that wasn't Lust. You switch to Silas and Vierna, and worst case scenario, you go the full 220 again. You're now at 440 summons, and you're 220 into the Invocation of Oath, because none of those 220 pulls that ended up getting you to pity with the Silas Vierna banner, none of those were on the Invocation of Oath banner, so none of those were increasing the tally. Now you switch back, you do 30 more. So you did 220, that's 440. You do 30 more, and then at number 30, you get your guaranteed Lust. So all in all, it's still extremely strong in this, God forbid, absolute worst case scenario, because you were guaranteed 3 legendaries in 470 summons. One of them was guaranteed to be Lust. That's the worst way it could go down, and quite frankly, if it happens to you, let me know. I'd be shocked if that happens to anyone, because statistically, it is so improbable. But you can see how the number of summons you have and how lucky or not lucky you are is going to control how you pull this strategy off. But that at its core is the clear breakdown of how the strategy works. You do 220 summons here to count up. Then you switch 220 summons, count up. Then you switch back 30. When you do it that way, and I know, don't yell at me in the comments yet, when you do it that way, you've lost all benefit of what's going on here. However, you are getting to employ a strong benefit of what the guarantee means, and that's why I wanted to start with this scenario, right? You can see you built 220 up, then you could go to this banner, and then you could come back and you were guaranteed within 30. That's how you can view it. So now let's go to a realistic situation where you actually are using the 2 banners together to work for you and help you out. So let me just give an example. You're off a fresh pity, you're pulling, and let's say you get slightly lucky, not crazy, but let's say at 170, you pull on the Lust banner, you pull a legendary. So now you're 170, your tally into the Lust banner, right? And you have now pulled a legendary. It wasn't Lust, so you did not lose your guarantee. So your tally's at 170, and you still have 80 to go, and you have this banner that you haven't touched yet. What you could do, and this depends again on your risk appetite, you can keep pulling on the Invocation of Oath higher and higher, reaching higher and higher towards that 250 while building your general pity shared between these two. And once you reach the point where you're high enough, close enough to 250, but not at 250 yet, and you don't want to risk it anymore, because keep in mind, if you pull a legendary, you lose your pity. If you pull a Lust, you lose your guarantee, but you want to keep going, get that number higher on the shared pity, then you can switch over. You're not entering the Silas Vierna banner with a fresh pity. You're entering with however high you pushed. So let's say you pulled at 170 and you said, you know what? Let's go 60 more summons here, right? So now you'll be at 230. You've done 230, so you've done 60 summons more on the Invocation of Oath banner. So that's your tally. You're only 20 away. But then you can switch to the Silas Vierna banner where you're not on a fresh pity. You're actually 60 in. Basically, it was 60 free summons because you had to do them on the Invocation of Oath banner already. Then you can go here and you can go all the way to 220, or who knows, maybe in 10 you pull a legendary. It doesn't matter. But this way you've worked towards a pity, so you can kind of pull here and know worst case scenario, because you're 60 in, soft pity is 140, not 200, and hard pity is 160, not 220, right? So you hit that, you come back here, 20 pulls away from Lust, and assuming you have to go the whole way, it's 20 pulls less, or you could get really lucky, you pull another legendary in those 20 summons, right? So now it's really working for you. At like 240 you hit a legendary, and now you're 10 away from a guarantee. Or you do 19 more, and at 249 you hit a legendary, and then you're guaranteed at 250. But let's say that is how it shook out, right? So you did 170, then you did 60 more, so 230. You got one legendary at 170. Now you're 60 into pity. You did 60 more, you're at 230. So now with the 60, let's say you're going to pull 5 into pity. So you need to get to 205, so you have to pull another 145. You can add that to the 230. Now you're looking at 375. Then you got your other legendary. Now you come back to Lust. So you don't pull any in between on the next 20. You get that, and you're at 395, and you're guaranteed your 3 legendaries. Pretty cool, right? It gets cooler if you have more summons to play with, and you can really manipulate this, and depending on how your luck plays out, right? And how much risk you're willing to accept. So now let's use a really optimistic example where you have a decent amount of summons to work with. You can head into this and see how you can pull it off, right? So this is going to be a lot of good things happening. So let's say you're pulling at 50, you hit a legendary that isn't Lust on the Lust banner. So you have not lost the guarantee. You're now 50 into the tally, right? You keep pulling again, you hit again. You don't have to go to pity. You hit again at 190. So now you've done 190 pulls. You've pulled 2 legendaries. Now you decide, you know what? I'm 190 points into the tally. I could switch already. Worst case, I do a 220, then I come back and I get a 60, but I'm willing to accept some risk. Let's push that higher and higher. So what you do is you're at 190, you're 2 legendary so far. You go, you know what? I'm going to go all the way up to 240. I'm going to do 50 and just hope I don't pull another legendary, reset my pity, and hope I don't pull Lust to lose my guarantee. And you do it. You go all the way to 240. You don't get a legendary, and you certainly don't get Lust, right? So now you're 240 in, you've gotten 2 legendaries, but you're 50 in to the next pity. So you're 50 into the next pity, you're at 240 here. Now you switch over to the Silas Vierna banner. Let's say you're pulling there, and this is an example where you're doing a lot of summons, right? It's kind of like what I hope will happen for me and other people that have been sitting on quite the load. So now you're here, you're 50 in, you go over here, and you get lucky again. You pull at 120. You don't even have to go to pity, right? So you're 120 in. Now you can go back to Lust and you say, all right, if I pull a legendary and I lose my pity, it's fresh. I don't care. There's only 10 to Lust anyway. And if I pull Lust, I don't care because I'm only 10 away from the guarantee. So losing the guarantee at this point doesn't really, I don't mind, right? It doesn't affect me too much. But you're fine. You go 9 summons and you're kind of cooking. You go a full 9 summons. You don't get any legendary. So now you're 9 into a new pity, and you know your next summon is a guaranteed Lust. Now what you could do, and this is for people with a lot of summons, you can switch back to the Silas Vierna banner, and you are 191 away from soft pity, 211 from hard pity. You pull there all the way until you hit a legendary, and then you switch back. The next pull, free guaranteed Lust, right? So a few things have to shake out your way, but this is actually exactly the technique I employed for myself during the Gwendolyn banner. That was the last exclusive we had, which ran concurrently with a very strong 2x by 10x for Boreas, for Cetrum, and for Aurum, and I did it for many viewers as well. It's very effective. The more summons you have, the more you can do this. Obviously, it takes some luck here, there, and the other. I'll have been tallying up all the summons that took, but you can see you come out with a lot of great legendaries. It's not that unlikely. Obviously, there could be a normal situation where you pull at like 40, then you go again and you pull at 240, and then there's a lot of ways it could shake out. You could see it's all about the luck of when you pull, the luck of when you decide to switch, or I guess the acceptance of risk, or the opposition to risk of when you decide to switch, this, that, and the other, the luck you have on the Silas banner and the Vierna banner when you do make the switch, the luck this. Basically, you can see any pulls you do over here are going to be counting up on your shared pity. However, pulls you do here are not going to be on your tally. So you want to maximize pulls here while taking advantage of pities, because this is the crux of it. So this is how we will end the video. You do not want to pull a legendary on the Lust banner that's not Lust. So the guarantee is still in effect at like 60 summons, and then just pull another 190 to get Lust at 250. Then basically you're getting your guarantee 90 summons in. If you're already 90 summons in, right, this is the simplest way to think about it. You want to make those 90 summons work for your pity, and then you come back and basically get that freebie guarantee. So let's say you pulled at 60, then you have 190. Let's say instead you do 180, so now you're at 240. Now you're only 20 away from soft pity, 40 away from hard pity. You can switch banners. You come back, you're 10 away, you get your guaranteed Lust. That's the most simple way to look at it. I know I've kind of rambled. That's because this thing is complicated, because there are a lot of factors. And again, it comes down to how many summons you do have saved. So worst case is going to be 470. Granted, in that case, that didn't help you at all. It's just kind of like, oh, I had to go to pity. Oh, I had to go to pity. Great, now I'm 30 away. I'll take my guarantee. But you can see as things change, depending on how many summons you have and where your luck is falling or not falling, things could shake out really nicely for you. And then also how much you're willing to gamble and push that number higher and higher and risk, losing your guarantee or resetting your pity. The more summons you have, probably the more risk you're willing to accept. I really hope I explained this clearly, but I know it's kind of a difficult technique and maybe a difficult subject to wrap your head around. If you want to see this in action before you pull, you can wait and watch my Pulls Party stream on Friday, where I'm going to be employing this technique for many, many viewers when I pull for them. So you can watch me do it first. You'll kind of see it in action. Then you might have a stronger understanding of it. Then you can use it for yourself. Or, of course, just ask me any questions at all in the comments. I really hope I did a good job explaining. But, of course, if I didn't, just let me know, and I'll help you out by answering those comments. Guys, thank you so much. I've been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, like it, get in the comments, all that good stuff. Share it with your mother, subscribe, notification bell. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.